Let's give this a whirl. Just when you think you got everything right, you see the mute button is on. I caught it though. You may not have heard the first sentence, but you heard the second. What up, everybody? I'm John Zidar, aka the Wizzy Stock Wizard, and we're here to look at hot penny stocks that you've brought me. How hot are they? Well, I was looking at the charts. More than 50% of them are hot, so we do have some good ones to look at. So I noticed, let's see, I'm looking at the comments right now. Now, I don't know what it looks like. All right, I'm looking over here. I got two screens up here, so I know if you can see what I can see. My screen shows half the comments are missing. Over here, I see all the comments. So I'm going to presume you guys can see everything here. Glad to have you all here. All three of you. 6, 7, 8. Hey, more coming. Goody, goody, goody. So we've got all the due diligence taken care of. I've had my pee, so I don't have to worry about getting up to take care of that. There's a lot that goes into this show. You just don't know. All the due diligence, all the pages. My computer freezes up every week. I'm going to have to get a bigger, better computer. That's what I got to do. All right, let's jump on into this, folks. It was a good day for me. I played options today. I've been playing options all week on the SPY and the Q, and I don't know if my charting abilities are getting better or if the volatility helps me, but I had 25 plays, and I lost 4, and I won 21 of them. I have had some bank come in this week. This was a good week for me. All right, let's go take a look at stocks, though. We're not here to talk about no bloody options. First button, second button. Yes, you're here with me. On point. Sweet. Glad to have you here, Marker Mayhem. He just dropped in at the last minute, at the first minute. All right, I've got notes here. I tell you that I put these up so that you can get bullets, but actually it's to remind me. I've done so much due diligence. It kind of all gets blurred into one cup. So if I don't separate it somewhere, it's just hard to do it once we're in it. We are taking a look at AGMH first. Came from Velmore, one of my most loyal followers. She is at the door every Thursday waiting to get her ticker in first. Doesn't always get there first, but she's always one of the first ones. She has brought us AGMH. This company we have looked at before, I do believe, because as I was going through the information, it was like deja vu. This is a company that builds hardware equipment for blockchain and primarily Bitcoin miners. They have just gone out of compliance with the minimum bid price requirement. That's the bad news that is most current right now. They've been under $1 for too long. If we don't get that price, and I do mean we, the investors, if we don't get that price up over $1 for 10 consecutive days, they have one of two choices. They either go down to the OTC or they have to do a reverse split. That is by September 9th. And all the filings that we've got in this are covered in the news, so we don't have to worry about diving into that. This is AGM Group Holdings. This is a Chinese company. They don't say China here, but I recognize that prefix, 86. You dial a 1 in the U.S., you dial 86 in China. This Chinese company finished today just under 8 cents, and she was up 9% today. Now, this is a very I'd like to say hot penny stock, but whenever you're threatening me with a reverse stock split or going down to the OTC, it doesn't feel very hot. That's putting a shiver through me. This stock is on the major exchange, the NASDAQ, which comes with benefits over those OTC penny stocks. These stocks are free to trade on the major exchange. You don't pay to buy, you don't pay to sell. You get to trade in pre-market, aftermarket, which you never get to do with OTC. There's a lot more money and a lot more volume up on the major exchange compared to the OTC, and a lot more rules, which is good for us folks because a lot of us lose money on the OTC because there's not as much oversight down there. They get away with a lot more that you wouldn't think they should be able to, but they do. And we're the ones that pay for it. So what is AGMH about? Let's see what information I've got here. Hey, and she's remained highlighted. I got a new program here. AGM Group Holdings is an integrated technology company specializing in the assembly and sales of high-performance hardware and computing equipment. The company focuses on research and development of blockchain-oriented, application-specific integrated circuit chips, the assembling and the sales of high-end crypto miners for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Now, looking at the news, when we looked at this last, there was more news. I remember. They had made quite a few partnerships here. We see 2 of them. That's as far as they go, as 7 pieces of news, but there is more news. We see one here announced a strategic partnership with Canada's Now Lit to expand their high-performance computing. Another partnership here with Hash Beaver to drive blockchain and AI innovation. They had, I think, 2 more partnerships, building themselves up to do what they do. Then they had a public offering. They put 5.4 million shares on the market. Well, I don't know how many that is, but when they're this bloody cheap, that's a lot of bloody shares. I don't know if it's going to show up in the filings. Let's see if they actually tell us here. How many shares? No. Nope, they just tell us how much. Wait a minute, there it is, 16 million. So we've got another 16.4 million shares that we're going to have to add on to the float. Probably hasn't been added on there yet. And then, of course, the big bad piece of news is that they have been notified by NASDAQ that they are in hot water. We got to get the price over $1 for 10 consecutive days. It has to close over $1. We can dip under $1 during those days, but it has to close over $1. Once we do that, we're out of hot water. We go back under, we got to go through this whole rigmarole again. All right, so what was the relative volume for AGMH today? God dang. What's that about? We jumped from 30 million shares as an average every day over the last 30 days to 155 million shares today. This is what I call dark catalysts. I see bad news a lot where stocks run. They announce they are going down to the OTC, or they just went bankrupt and the stock goes running. Normally it's just that day and it comes right back down, and you're lucky if you get a dead cat bounce. So we've got a lot of volume that came in today. No doubt about that, about 5 times as much. Share structure. Outstanding shares, we got about 24 million. I don't know what the insiders own, so I can't do any math and figure out what the float is, but it won't be any higher than 24 million. Market cap is way down there at 1.7 million. How about money? They making any bucks? Yeah, they are. God, is it all over the place, right? 4 years ago, we were at $53,000. Put those 3 zeros behind all the numbers on these charts. Kicked it up to 36 million. I do remember looking at that because that's a huge jump. You don't forget that. Then they went from 36 million to 242 million and then dropped back down to 92 million. But whatever they make, little or a lot, they are always bringing in profits. Looking at the quarterlies, we don't get any, but they do have them. We just don't have them here. Balance sheet for the company, remembering those 3 zeros here as well. We got 1.6 million in the bank, your cash and cash equivalents. We've got 97 million in assets, 78 million in liabilities. We are holding about $20 million in stockholder equity. So we've got profit. The company's got profit. The company's got revenues. It's all looking pretty good. As I said, we don't have to look at the filings. So let's just get the heck out of here. And I still don't know why this thing was running. Bad news. Oh, look at this. I wasn't ready for you. No problem. Close up all that. We'll slide this one over this way. Looking at the queue. Yeah, I was having fun today on the queue. And it's all set up. Let's go to number 9. Number 9. So this is AGMH. We're looking at okay, we'll go back a year just so you can get a 52-week high and low. Where are you at? Right there. Nope, that's not it. That's the hourly. Hold on. All right, so we have been rolling around and we're at a very low over this last year. Our 52-week high hit in October. That was $2.19, just getting over our 52-week high before. From there, she just started to fall. See, all of our MAs are starting to roll over. First the 20 rolls, then the 50, then the big 200. But once that 20 starts to go, that's it, folks. The price follows the 20. That's its primary lead right there. So once the 20 started falling, everything did. And once the big ones come down, you know you're in a fall. And it's only going to stop when all of these MAs catch up to the price. Look at how far these things are, still way above the price. So this has to wait for these to come down so it has something to climb up and start to fly. Right now it's underwater. It isn't even in the air yet. She came down hard here. We hit a low of 61 cents. That was like 2 days ago. Let's come on down to our 6-month 4-hour view. There's your roll here, and look at our 200. Our 200 has got a biorhythm thing going here. Ebb and flow, ebb and flow. And she breaks through on the low part of the 200, and she falls on the high part of the 200. So you've got to wait for this to come down and get low again for it to break through. That's just the way it works. We've got some volume coming in. It's not a lot, but it's more than we've had usually. Our oscillators are all pretty weak. Everything is either flat or going sideways. Not a lot of heat to see. Let's take a look at our 20-day 1 hour. Okay, at least we're got MAs on top of us. Our 200 came down hard. I'm going to leave these lines here. I keep forgetting to put them back. Nobody reminds me anymore. Right down here, we've got a 200 squeeze setting up. Our 200 went flat here. She had an opportunity to break out. Right there it went flat. And what did it do? It went the opposite way. You can't turn your back on that, folks. This was an opportunity to run up, and she decided to go away. That tells you she is not planning on climbing anytime soon. Days are going by. She's having to reposition. She's gotten back on the 50 with the 200 haul underneath, the 200 MA on top. This is a setup if she can stay above the 200 and on that 50. If that 200 haul turns up, we could see a climb to and through the 200, but you've got to have volume. Green volume, not red volume. All of our oscillators are weak. Every single one of them is falling on our hourly chart right now. And let's take a look at our 5-day 15-minute. Well, we've got hope in the picture, right? As she was falling, we seen a breakthrough here. She's staying close. She's reaching for it. So we do see she wants to get up. Right here, early, she is breaking out. Our 200 is still on a fall. It's gone flat here, not here. So we're real lucky that she stayed up as long as she stayed up here, pre-market and aftermarket periods. Came down to the 200, dipped underneath it, came back up, put a peg down, and now she's balancing on it. All of our MAs are over top of us, but she is now on top of the 200. That is part of her biorhythm. Now, she may dip a little bit underneath it, but I would anticipate this is where she's going to fight to try to start to climb. She's going to have to wait until these MAs get a little closer, but sometime tomorrow, late morning, we could see this start to rise. Our oscillators are finally starting to show a turnaround here. Not a lot. No, I take it back, folks. No, everything is still coming down. Our PPO, percentage price oscillator, that's a lot like your MACD. MACD uses the full price. PPO uses a percentage of the price. Our ADX is not looking good. The red line is our downtrend. Whichever one is on top is the dominant. Our green is underneath. So the dominant trend is falling. I just seen it drop again. Yep, another bar coming down underneath. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to fall. We are down here at a 15-minute chart. In 15 minutes, she could change. So I am expecting a cusp to come back up around right now. We are at the flat part of the 200. This is the most vulnerable time to watch for a breakout. All right, let's go take a look at another stock. Let's jump on over to, I'm going to get rid of these. Save me some power. Power hour. I love my power hour. All right, the next stock we're going to take a look at is CYCU. We were playing this at Penny Boys today. I think it was the back part of the day. This is Cycurian. I wonder if I'm pronouncing that right. Could be we're going to stick with Cycurian. Cycurian came from the underdog. This company deals with cybersecurity using AI, of course. They just uplisted to the NASDAQ in February, which I find a little confusing because when I looked at the chart goes back beyond February. Well, if they came from the OTC, I don't know, maybe they were on the New York Stock Exchange. Maybe that's where they were at because the chart didn't change. It didn't start over. So I'm just taking their word for it that they came on in February. When that day happened, it fell. It fell hard. If I remember correctly, it was $31 and it's down under $1 right now. What's the price? Excuse me. Yeah, under $1. And it was at 31 cents when they came on to the NASDAQ. No bad news. As a matter of fact, we're going to look at a letter from the CEO telling us there's nothing bad going on here, folks. We know the price has been volatile, but without good reason. They've got a lot of partnerships we're going to take a look at, and all of the 8Ks, which I have a bunch of, all go with the news about these partnerships. So CYCU, she's out of the United States, based out of Virginia. She finished today at 72 cents. She was up a little over 17%. That is a jump of almost 11 cents. She is on the NASDAQ. Now, being under $1, she is in hot water. She's got to get up over $1. Now, whether they've been notified by NASDAQ or not, I don't know. Normally, you get 6 months to be under $1, but that last one we just looked at, it was only under $1 for 30 days, and they got a slap. So I'm not quite sure. So what is this company about? Well, they don't give us any information here. They say their whole purpose is to go out and find a deal, find a merger, start making some money. That's all it says here. So let's dive into what I did find. All right. I didn't highlight any of this news because all of the news is important, but we're only going to read this top one because they mention all of this in there one way or another. Going back to February 19th, the company and iQuestal, that is another public company, form an exclusive cybersecurity partnership to expand into high-tech, high-margin markets. The company expands cybersecurity partnership with leading national public health. Where did that go? Public Health Association. The company also announces a U.S. launch of its AI-driven software as a service, ARX platform, targeted to the corporate sector. They're getting around. The company was awarded 3 multi-year contracts highlighting growth and innovation. Not a 3-year contract, 3 contracts. The company partners with Central Square Technologies to provide public safety IT services across the country. That's bigger than a county. Now, we don't have time to dive into these, but if you're interested, you know where to find this information. Now, let's take a look at that stockholder news. The CEO says, after a volatile first month of trading following our entrance onto the NASDAQ market, we want to reiterate that the company's team and my commitment to the stockholders. Now, these are some of the things going on. Expansion of our groundbreaking AI-powered ARX security platform, which we believe has the potential to revolutionize the cybersecurity market and serve as a game changer for Cycerion and its high software as a service margin profile. Organic, company-wide growth, including expanding current client relationships. I got a lot of information here breaking that stuff down if you want to dive into it. Current outstanding number of shares. I was glad I found this because this is not what it says over here where we're going to look. Is just over 30 million, which yields a basic market capitalization of 16 million. So our market cap is 16 million based on the closing share price on March 17th of 54 cents. And now we're up to 72 cents, 73 cents. She's rising after hours. And if you include all of the outstanding warrants, which is nice when a company does this, it saves you a lot of homework. If you include all the warrants, if they get exercised and cashed in, I don't know when that would happen. It's normally 3 to 5 years down the road from when they were made live. There would be a total of 46 million shares. So you know the absolute most dilution you would get if these warrants get exercised. Let's see then. I do believe that is all the information outside of the stocks information. We've got a jump today in our volume going from 9.2 million to 11.4 million. Share structure, they just told us, was 30 million. Well, look at that. That's a heck of a lot more than we got listed here. This is from December of 2024. So somewhere between December and now, probably when they went on the NASDAQ. They probably put more shares out there, which is probably why it fell. Come to think of it, a stock will fall when you load the outstanding share count with more shares. Well, you just loaded it up with roughly 10 times more. So the price is going to fall 10 times. So if you're at $31, it's going to come down to $3.10. Wow. So that explains the fall, but not why we're down to 50 cents and 70 cents. That was an overshoot. So we could expect it to come back up to somewhere near $3, just working the math. Our market cap, we know what that is. That's roughly 16 million. Financials for the company. We got nothing on the annual. We got nothing on the quarterly. They're not making any money. Really? In the bank, we got about $45,000. Total assets were just under 3 million. Total liabilities just under 4 million. And look at that. Instead of holding 1 million in stockholder deficit, we get 3.4 million. I don't know where that silly number came from here, but we're holding a lot more deficit than we anticipated. So they have no revenues, no profit, and we get all the deficit. That's not looking good to me. And disclosures, right. All the 8Ks here were correlating to the news. We do have an SC13G here, which came out at the end of February. This is when a new investor comes in. Somebody will buy enough shares that they actually own a percentage of the company and become an insider. This was MDB Funding Corp. They bought themselves 1.3 million shares, which was a total of just under 10%, purposely, 9.99. As soon as you hit 10% or more, it's a whole different ball game for that investor. So they like to keep it under 10%. He did just that, which is a good thing. We see somebody is putting money into the company right now. So there you go, folks. That's what's going on with the company. Let's go see what's going on with the chart. This will be number 8, which is great. I'm a poet and don't know it, and my feet are long, fellas. Let's jump back to a year. Let's get our 52-week high and low. Wow. All right, she wasn't doing anything for a very long time. Now, yeah, there's some bounces in here. There were some plays, but come on. That's pretty much flat. It was here on January 30th. We had a rip. My God, she went from $11 up to $68. Gracious. That is 600% rip, and I have no clue why. I would have to go do some research now. She came back down, didn't even hit the 9-day. Didn't even hit it and bounced back up to 72. Came down, almost hit it at $19. Ripped back up to 49. That's what that low float was doing, folks. Gosh. Finally hit the 9-day here at 17. Kicked back up to $53. Folks, this is a daily chart. Wouldn't you have liked to have been watching this that week? Holy cow. Then on, let's see, this is, that's when they came on the NASDAQ. Right there, February 13th. After all this rip, you put on 30 million more shares, or, you got 30 million now, 10 times more. And I don't know how that happened, but boom, it fell hard. Here's our floor. Obviously, we have found a floor. We hit a low down here of 50 cents, and we are bouncing, obviously, because we're at 72 cents. So you can't see a whole lot happening here. The biggest thing I noticed down here is that we've got a crossover on our ADX. Whichever line is on top is the dominant trend. We just had a crossover right there. The downtrend has stopped. It is going to the weakest part of this graph. The uptrend has started. It is going to the strongest part. Problem is our uptrend is very weak. The yellow line is at the bottom. We need to have that turn up and start climbing as our green line is up. When you see both the green and yellow line going up on an ADX, you know you got strength in the chart. And if it starts to move around on the 1-minute chart, go look at the 5-minute. I lean on my 5-minute ADX when I am playing the 1-minute chart for my exits and entries. I trust it more than I trust the ADX on the 1-minute. Let's jump on down to our 6-month 4-hour view. Not a whole lot of difference there. A big jump up, a big drop down, hit our low. She's closing in on that 200, but we still don't see a lot going on except, look at our ADX, right? The ADX is falling way down here with the downtrend. Uptrend is getting very strong, very, very strong. This yellow line is at the top. 100%. There is no more for it to go. It is at maximum strength right now. And our green line uptrend is pushing up right now. This looks like it's ready to break out. Our volume is getting strong today. Our MACD has had a crossover yesterday. It is pushing up. Green bars in the picture. Just had an angle on our MACD. We have just gone into the overbought. This looks really hot to me now, folks. I like the 4-hour chart, though it didn't look like it had a lot going on there. It's getting thinner and thinner. Look at that. That's my 1-hour chart. Look at how thin it is. Now, what bothers me here is that we did not get a jump right there. When that 200 got close, she should have jumped up, but she didn't. She stayed down here, stayed down here. We hit a low, came back up. Now, right here, you can see there's interest. She is now starting to poke around on that 200. Bang, bang. Crosses it, starting to get some bigger bars now, getting some volatility, some excitement. After you come over the 200, just expect it to come back down. Doesn't necessarily mean it will, but most of the time it does. Expect it to come back towards it and then bounce off something. It didn't even come to the 200. It bounced off of the week 20. The 20 is only double the 9. If you can bounce off the 20, you've got yourself an uptrend in the works right there. And she is climbing, floating on the 9 now, leaving the 20 behind, and all of our MAs are climbing. Volume is strong. Our ADX, our green is on top, red is on the bottom. Our MACD, everything is pushing up. Our RSI is at 60. This is looking nice, folks. This is looking sweet. 5-day, 15-minute is showing the strength. Off of that low bubble, she jumped immediately. Now, this is a big deal. I say this over and over again. People shop low bubbles. They look for 52-week lows, and that's what that is, a 52-week low. And if they find value in the company, going through the fundamentals, if they find value, the stock will jump immediately off of a low bubble. Folks, this jumped immediately off of a low bubble, went directly over the 200. That to me is a signal that I missed something. I need to go look. Somebody else has found value in the company. Now, we found some value. So did they. This is now on an uptrend. From that low bubble, she has gotten over the 200 and is steady climbing, and she is now picking up velocity. She's starting to get that parabolic curve going. So tomorrow could be even a stronger day than we had today. I would definitely be watching this. Again, we can see the volume is strong. All of our oscillators are showing heat, but we did have a crossover on our ADX. There's some bouncing going on there. The tighter our time frames get, the more volatile your ADX gets. But look at that MACD. Holy cow, we've got a lot of heat in the MACD. I get excited very easily. That's why I used to hate when they say, you gotta get rid of your emotions when you trade. I'm an emotional person, folks. And that's what makes us human, is emotions. That's what makes us different than everything else. So to try to get rid of emotions is just impossible. The only thing you can do is plan your trade so you'll have no decisions to make. Then you can't get involved. Then your emotions are locked out. So when I scalp my trades, I know where I'm getting out if it's a profit. I know where I'm getting out if it's a loss. And I know where I'm getting in all before I get in. And I put all those orders in. Now, if you can't do an OCO, one cancels the other, you hit one sale, the other sale cancels, you can still put in a buy with a stop loss. That's a sell order. And then you turn right around and put in a sell order for your target for profit. Get them all in there and then kick back and wait for one of the two to happen. That's how you get rid of your emotions, folks. That's what I have to do because I'm an emotional person. I have actually cried. I'm not lying. I've swore, I've done everything. So this is looking sweet. I'm going to put this on my watch list for tomorrow. CYCU. You mind if I come back here and visit with you folks? Let's see what you're talking about. Horror Duck. What kind of name is Horror Duck? OTLK. We haven't looked at OTLK this week. Was it last week or the week before? We were looking at it then. I can't even remember why we were looking at it. How do you pronounce that name? Okay, if I call you Tim. Great as always, Wizard. If you had time, can you talk briefly about put-call ratio for stocks and how can we properly read it to try to catch market moves? Oh, well, you know, we don't talk about options here, but let me say this real briefly. Reading charts is primary for whether you're trading stocks or options. You want to know when the stock is going to be going up. You want to know when it's going to stop rising and start coming down. That's what you need for any trade, options or stocks. When it comes to options, I only play the real short ones, 1 day and 0 day, which means if I don't sell it today, I lose all my money. So you've got to know what you're doing. But again, I am scalping, so I get in when these stocks are moving. I'm playing the Q and the SPY, which are moving hard, constant volume, never ever stops, lots of liquidity. When I see a strong move, I get in right up next to the money. They're normally about $120 each. I'll buy right up next to the money. I will let that go for a little while. As soon as it starts making money and it's moving, I buy another one on the next strike down. Another one. When the top one rises a little more and I'm near $80 to $100, I take it and sell it. Even if the market is still going, I sell it. That is now a profit that I can use as a buffer margin for my next option underneath. So when the stock starts to bounce, I don't panic because I know I got $100 that I can use to ride some of the bounces out, because there are some bounces as you climb. And this is how I've been playing my options. And I've done real good this week. I had 25 options and lost 4, I think. So I'm doing real good this week. I'm not bragging. I normally don't do this well. Something's changed and I'm just enjoying it. Oh, did I leave that up the entire time? Oh my God. Sorry, folks. I'd have been vomiting, having convulsions. Hiroshi Kamasato. There's how we pronounce it. That's a little easier than Tim, but I can say that. Hiroshi, thanks for being here, Hiroshi. We appreciate that. Evening, David. Appreciate you being here too, buddy. All right, we've got some more stocks to jump into. I'm going to make you sick again. We're going to jump on over here to, and I'm going to get rid of this one. I need all the power I can get. Close these windows as we're done with them. Good enough. We are now looking at Eva, I'm going to call her Eva Technologies, ticker AEVA. Eva came to me by way of Dino Trades. This company is involved with a particular type of LiDAR sensor for autonomous driving. Don't hit me up for spelling. Notepad doesn't fix it. They've landed a big contract, folks. A original equipment manufacturer, tier 1 contract. You're talking about the big car manufacturers. They won't tell us which one, but they aren't just doing fleets. They're doing a whole line of cars wherever those cars are sold around the world. And they have got another one in line to close as well. And they just reported record revenues. So AEVA, this is an American company out of California. Finished today at about $4.19. She's up almost 35% today. She's up well over $1. This is a hot penny stock on the NASDAQ. I've told you what the company does. So let's take a look at the news. Oh, why is it not highlighted? Thank you very much. All right, we've got 2 pieces of news to consider, but we're only going to look at one because this one is spoke of here. I love these full results, stockholder reports. This is when they tell you everything that's happened in the past, everything they plan to happen in the future. It's real good for due diligence. On the 19th, as a matter of fact, both of these came out today. EVA was awarded top 10 passenger OEM development program for next generation global production vehicle platform. And EVA reports 4th quarter and full year 2024 results. And that's where we get our information, is inside that one. I don't know how I got multiple colors. It was an accident. So this is what's going on, and they break down this information down here when you want to get into the details. We're not going to get into the details. Global top 10 passenger original equipment manufacturer awarded EVA a development program for next generation global vehicle production platform. The OEM letter of intent to EVA for large-scale production program awarded this year. They are also on track with Daimler truck production program with EVA's SOP in 2026. This is a deepened collaboration with Torque to advance autonomous truck development. I don't know. We're going to have to dive in and get more details here, but we see they've got things going on. Expanded collaboration. I've been closing windows. Hold on, folks. She seems to be frozen a bit here. You see why I call her a she? Doesn't always cooperate. Nothing personal if you're a woman. You know, men and women, we got differences. Expanded collaboration with SICK AG on Cut it out. Oh my God. Talk about sick. With SICK AG on precision sensing for industrial robotics and factory automation applications. Now, that's something I'm going to dive in and look at. Tesla is definitely getting into robotics for their factories. They're going to take away all the people and just start using robots. And we're not talking about the ones that just have robotic arms. We're talking about walking, biped robots with arms and legs that are doing our jobs. Down here, they give us information about the revenues. Revenue. Who printed this? Revenues of 2.7 in Q4 of 2024 compared to 1.6 last year at the same time. Yearly revenues were 9.1 million compared to last year at 4.3. So we did more than 100% over last year's revenues. What they are projecting, the revenues for this year is projected to be between 15 to 18 million dollars, representing a growth of approximately 70 to 100% year over year. That is all the information I've got, which is a lot there. If you're interested in this company, you need to come over here and go through this information, see what each one of these deals entails. When they start working with major manufacturers with one line of vehicles, that could easily go to all their line of vehicles, and then boom, you've got all of Ford or all of Chevy or whoever the heck you're working with. And that is a huge increase in volume of business, of volume in revenues, and it's probably going to be a big price jump on the charts. Let's see what the relative volume was around all this news today. That's a good jump. We went from 321,000 shares a day on the major exchange up to 4.5 million. We're looking at roughly 12, 13 times, like 1,300% increase in our volume. Share structure for EVA. Don't know much more than the outstanding share count. We got about 54 million. Could be the float as well, but the float could be considerably less depending how many shares the insiders own. Market cap, right now we're at about 168 million. I'm expecting EVA to have money. Yes, they are making revenues, but where's the profit? They have been jumping up. They were at 9.2 4 years ago, fell to half of that and have come back up. We're back up to 9 million. But we were at profit 4 years ago, 3.4. Now we're 3.7 back. That ain't good, obviously. That ain't good. Looking at our quarterlies. Quarterlies are climbing slowly. They're growing, but we're not getting any profit. We're not making any money whatsoever. I'm hoping we have some stockholder equity here then. In the bank, we've got about 28 million. Pardon me. Total assets for the company, about 147 million. Oh, good. Look at that. Total liabilities, only 48 million. We got 100 million basically in stockholder equity. That's profit for us. So even though the company's not making any profit, we are. We're not holding a bag here. Me liking that. And I don't know what to think about the disclosures. Can't remember here. Well, we'll just dive in real quick. Look at the headline. This came out today. Material change is what an 8K is. I just look at this headline right there. This is for their financials. Anytime a 10K or 10Q comes out, you're going to have an 8K come out as well. They're normally an easier read, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Let's see. Where were we? Check out. Oh, yeah. Right. I did want to share this, right? Form 4s. Oh, that's not right. Form 4s can be good news, but they can also be bad news. These are filed whenever the insiders acquire or dispose of the company's stock. Right here in the middle, you'll see codes. What we're looking for is a P or an S for a purchase or a sale. Any other letter, it's something else. If you want to learn, you can get information right down here. It'll tell you what it is. This has to do with units of something. I don't know. I'm not interested. So I don't see anything over here that we need to pay attention to with our disclosures. I'm lost. Let me check out this last one because it is on a different day. It could be a whole different situation. That's a sale. That is a sale of 70,000 shares, which is nothing. He's got 8 million shares, 8.5 million. He sold 70,000, sold in multiple transactions. Doesn't tell us why. A lot of times it's for tax purposes. But you can see it wasn't a whole lot of shares. So it was probably something personal, you know, a mortgage payment or a vacation or a hospital bill, something like that. All right, let's go take a look now at the chart for Eva. Why did I do that? I know I got it set up. Number 7 should be Eva. Hello, Eva. Oh, boy, the 5-minute chart looked good. Well, it did if you didn't hang around all day. This is our 1-day, 1-year chart. We've got a 52-week low back here in July. That was $2.20. A lot of ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. Finally got over the 200. Worked our way up to the high here in January of $5.49. That's about a 120% jump from bubble to bubble. Off of that high, though, she went back to falling. Fell really hard here. I'm not quite sure what caused it, but there was a catalyst there. It pushed it hard all the way down from 420 down to 263. She went sideways for a couple days and really took off early. Look at all of our MAs up here, high above the price. We normally wait for these to come down, but she took off 2 days ago and just started ripping. Lots of volume in the picture, and all of our oscillators are on fire. Every single one of them is pushing up strong. Our PPO, our ADX has just had a mighty jump. Look at that green line. That green line right there is exciting. It is. That is an exciting line. We've got a massive turnaround on our MACD, and look at our RSI. Look at that. That is rocketing right now, folks. Take a look at our 6-month, 4-hour view. Big jump. Everything was down here, folks. She went sideways. She got on top of the 20, jumped up onto the 200, got on top of the 50, and that's when everything changed, folks. Our bars got big. We had a big wick push up. The second bar came down and didn't even hit any of the MAs, not the 50, not the 9, and just started climbing. Had that bounce off here, and she is ripping, folks. My God, what a strong day it was. All of our oscillators are pushing up hard. Taking a look at our 1 hour. She is looking good, folks. I am expecting a pullback, though. She's way above the 9-day. She's been above it for a long time and has not even shown a sign of pulling back. So I'm expecting a pullback to the 9 at least. Right now, we're up there at 425. Our 9 is at, let's call it $4. It could be 405. But of course, it's moving. It's moving. So when it does fall down to it, it could be at a different price. All of our MAs are crossing right now. Normally, you see the price quit rising when the 20 finally hits the 200. So I am expecting this to pull back. Everything looks very strong right now, though. And even our RSI is starting to climb again. We're getting push. So this has got a lot of strength still tied up into this chart. Take a look at our 5-day, 15-minute. So she had all that rip early in the morning. She really quit climbing at 10:30, which is when I normally get out of most of my running trades, especially my options. When I first started trading, folks, the first hour of the day was called the fool's hour. I don't hear that anymore. A full hour, you would have a big run, and then it would change. It would fool the investor. Well, now it's down to 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, you need to be out. 10:30 is pushing it, folks. 10:30 is pushing it. So I like to get out on a strong run early in the morning because normally you get a lot of sideways activity until the afternoon, and then you can find another run. We didn't get that here. This went sideways, riding on the 9. Beautiful. Waiting. Why would she go sideways, folks, and not fall down to the 9 or the 20 or the 200? Because it doesn't want to. So it is being patient, waiting for these MAs to come to it. So it has something to push off of and jump. So when you see something consolidating like this, people are accumulating shares, waiting for something to happen. Here come the 20 right there. The 20 is what caused that to jump, folks. Once she hit that 20, she bounced off. She's working it, but she's climbing now, right? That's another big, there's another one. She's off and running, folks. You may want to go play this, right? This is 4:45 in the afternoon. We've still got 3.5 hours, 3 hours, 15 minutes of this day. And this has got a very strong chart. Now she is bouncing around. What's our volume look like? Look at our volume after hours. We got lots of volume. Now it's not moving steady, click, click, click. But we were down here at 4:45. Right now, she's at 4:41. So she's moving around. Take a look at our 5-day, 15-minute, just to get a good sample view. Look at that jump. If she can get over top of that 200 haul, that is the resistance right now. This 200 is as strong and has as much authority as that 200 there. So it is always a resistance, but it's a friendly resistance. And if this can get on top, that will help the price to run. So if this breaks that 200 haul at 450, call it 452. Yeah, let's say 452. I would get into it, but I would get out of it before the end of the day. I don't like to hold anything overnight. You don't know what's going to happen pre-market. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So just take your gains. Don't get greedy. If she starts to run tomorrow, get in again tomorrow and take more from her. But take what you can get when it's given. Don't just sit around waiting for more. All right, I'm liking EVA. I think you should be liking EVA too. Let's go take a look at another stock, folks. Oh, I don't know why I did that. I did that because this is where I normally keep your charts. But that's not where I keep them anymore. Trying to get rid of Windows. Okay, let's see what we've got over here now. I'm going to get rid of EVA. And we will look at ENOR. Ticker EONR. This is Eon Resources coming from my buddy, Mark Ryan. This company is involved in oil and natural gas production, and they're doing it. They're not just drilling, looking, they're actually doing it, making money. Currently doing 15 million barrels a day, and they tell us they are jumping to 50 million barrels a day. They have just restructured their debt, which is the catalyst, folks. This was a big one because they had a lot of debt. I think it was $22 million, and everybody was worried how they were going to handle that without diluting the shares. And they did it. They did it, and they actually did it in a way to give us shareholder equity. They have been pushing to get up to $40 million in shareholder equity for us. They've been trying to prove to the shareholders that they're thinking about us. And there's a lot of insider buys here as well. So EONR, this is a company out of Texas, finishing the day at 62 cents. She was up almost 16% today, jumping about 8.5 cents. She's a hot penny stock on the New York Stock Exchange, but she's under $1. Always keep that in mind with the major exchange stock. Check and see if she's been notified by the NASDAQ. It'll be either be in an 8K or a 6K. And if you don't want to go through every single one of them, just go to Google, put in the ticker, put in the name of the company, and just put in the, I just had a brain fart there, and put in NASDAQ compliance. That's it. That'll tell you if they have been contacted. You don't have to go through every single filing. So what do we know about this company? Well, let's stick to the right windows over here. Looks like I've lost my highlights. No, they're down at the bottom. I was going to tell you what this company is about. E.ON is an independent upstream energy company focused on maximizing total returns to its shareholders through its development of onshore oil and natural gas properties in the United States. E.ON's long-term goal is to maximize total shareholder value from a diversified portfolio of long-life oil and natural gas properties built through acquisitions through selective development. Our primary production is currently from Seven Rivers Zone. In addition to proven reserves, the company believes it may access an additional 34 million barrels of oil by adding perforations in the Grayburg and San Andreas. My highlights came back. At the San Andreas formations. With proven oil reserves of over 15 million barrels, combined with a potential for 34 million barrels, additional barrels, that's up to 50 million. LHO should produce oil and revenue streams for more than the next 2 decades with low decline rate. So the company should be around for the next 10 to 20 years doing this, right? So they've got money coming in, drilling oil, and it looks like they're going to be more than doubling their oil production. See what we got else here. News-wise. Where's my highlights? All right, we have gone back to February 11th. The company had announced they're in agreement with seller Will to restructure the balance sheet, and that's what just happened today. We're going to dive into that one. On the 26th of February, the company announced completion of their preliminary assessment, which could lead to potentially yields of up to 20 million untapped barrels of oil via horizontal drilling. We were just talking about that, and now they believe they can get 34 million extra barrels out of it. And then we've got the news that came out today. Lots of information. As a matter of fact, they did have the news, but I like the way they had it set up here in the filing better. The CEO says we are moving heaven and earth to increase shareholder value to $40 million. Our funding plan will use our oil production in the form of term overriding royalties, more so than debt over equity. To pay the $22 million seller consideration that reaps approximately $40 million in net shareholder value. Now, there's a lot of information on how they finagled this deal. And if you want to get more information, there's a lot more information in here about how they broke down all the debt and restructured the entire financials that they had. They've done a good job. I don't think I looked at the chart for this one. No, I didn't have a chance to look at the chart. So I'm going to hope that this one kicked up. Let's see what the relative volume was on this stock today. God, look at the volume on that. We went from 671,000 shares a day up to over 10 million shares today. Yeah, the investors were quite happy. Share structure. I would have to dive in to make sure that was accurate. I'm getting the feeling there's more shares than this. It says 9 million, but this is from November of 2024. I didn't see anything that said they had more shares. And if they are trying to create shareholder value without dilution, maybe they haven't done a bloody thing. So we very well could have 9.2 million outstanding. Again, without knowing what the insiders own, I don't know what the float is, but it won't be any higher than that. So we absolutely have a low float, whatever it is. Market cap, we are at about 5 million. Financials for Enor. Over the last 2 years, revenues have been coming in at 35 million and 27 million, and they get to keep every single penny. They're not putting out any money. This is normally for digital products or consultancy or royalties. I don't know. Does oil do that? You would think you'd have some sort of overhead with oil. Quarterly reports. What do we got going on here? 5, 6, 3, 5, 7. They're up and down, but they get to keep every single penny they make. Sell the oil. Ain't that good? All right, their balance sheet. They got 2.7 million in the bank. 103 million in assets. 109 million in liabilities. Yuck. So we are holding a little bit of deficit here. They're making strong revenues. They're making strong profits, but we don't get any of it yet. We're holding about 6.5 million of stockholder deficit. Disclosures for the company. Quick glance over here. Right. We have got insider buys. Insider buys are with a CEO, the CFO. This is Mr. Trotter. He is the CFO. He just bought himself. There's our P. 5,000 shares for a total of 39,000 shares he now owns. Who else bought some? I do believe we have slow to roll. This is Joseph. He's a director. He just bought himself just near 50,000 shares. And we got one more, which is a much bigger purchase. This one is near to 100,000 shares. This comes from that same director, a director. He's got a whole bunch of purchases here, all in the same day. Boom, 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 boom. He got himself all these shares. He now has himself 1.2, close to 1.3 million shares. And I do believe all of these were bought on the same day. No, the 18th, the 20th. So these all just happened. Now, normally when you see insiders buying stock all at the same time, a group purchase, that means something good is going to happen. They may know about it and we don't. We may know about it as well. In either case, it's a good indicator that you should be looking at the stock and considering an entry if you see volume coming in and she starts to climb. Got an 8K here. This came out on the 12th, another material change. What is this one? A letter to the stockholders. And we just got done reading that one. So let us get rid of some of these windows. Bing, bing, bing. And we'll go take a look at this chart now and see what she looks like for Enor. I keep thinking of Winnie the Pooh. Does anybody know why? Enor. That's number 6. Jumping back a year. We need to see what the chart's been doing overall and what our 52-week high and low is. Well, you can see I've been playing this. There was a trend right there. We can get rid of that. There's another trend. Oh, fine. Get rid of them all. Take them all. There you go. Oh, I forgot to put the last ones back. It's a lot of work. All right. On our yearly chart, we have been in a downtrend, but she's had some volatility. She's had some big jumps here from 88 cents up to $2.70. On our 52-week high, we went from 77 cents to $3. We had another jump here from 90 cents up to $2.20. So we do get volatility even when she's in a downtrend. Now, right here, she was volatile because our 200 was flat. That was a breakout. Boom, she came back down, the initial breakout. You don't expect it to keep climbing. Expect it to come back down. So when this ripped up here, you better have been taking gains because it is coming back down. That's too high on an initial rip. It has to come back down and test the 200. And it tested it, and it took off again. And we had another rip. She came off of that rip back down to the 200, which is climbing. I would not have expected it to fall, except that big rip right there. This rip there helped all these MAs to come up over the 200. But this big rip and that fall pushed those MAs right back down, pushed them back down. So now the price has to follow the 20-day MA. These are the rules of the game. So once the 20 buckled over, that was it. Game done for our climb. She went down underneath the 200, even though it's climbing. She came down following the 20, and that's what she's been doing all of this time until she hit this low of 35 cents. Off to the low, we have an instant bounce. Remember what I said. Company has value in the investor's eyes if it bounces off of a low immediately. We had an immediate bounce off of this through all of our MAs, up on top of the 50. Our 200 haul just turned blue, which means it's climbing now. Price is pushed up to the 9, and she is going to the 200, to and through the 200. She's falling back to the 9-day, but she's not done climbing. Every MA is pushing up right now. All of our oscillators are pushing up right now. We have volume. When every single line on the chart is pushing up, you've got a hot chart. That's the definition plus volume. This looks like it is going to go through into the 200. When it gets through it, if she climbs, take your gains on the climb because chances are she's going to come down to the 200 and bounce. Looking good on our 4-hour. What about our 1 hour? Looking better. God, look at that. We have definitely had a trend change. Right here, when the 200 started to go flat, she made her move. Look at that. The 200 just climbing, boom, that's when she took off. Went to and through the 200, fell back, got footing on her 9-day, pushed through the 200 again, riding that 9-day, falls to the 200, has to test it, boom, off and running again. This is picture perfect. This is playing out exactly the way I would have planned it when she was down here if I had saw it down here. And I would have been able to ride this all the way up because I would have taken my gain here, fell down there, I would have got out, bounced here, and got back in. No, not because I see it here, but because it's typical. This is exactly what stocks do. You break out, you fall back, you climb. And she is bouncing now off of the dynamic duo, our 50 and our 200, getting back up on the 9 and pushing hard. This looks like she is ready to climb, folks. All of our oscillators are still pushing up, still strong. Lots of volume today. We've got to see if that continues tomorrow. That's going to be the key, all that volume. 5-day, 15-minute. Virtually the entire week we've been on an uptrend, going from 35 cents to 72 cents. That's 100% rip already. She's over top of the 200, has not touched it once in the last 4 days. Not once. She got close, but she did not touch it. She has been using all the rest of the MAs, just as she is right now. She's come down to the 50 with a big, strong wick, while our solid bar is staying on the 9. I'd watch this. This just went through. See, it is on the 9. Our price is on the 9. The solid bar is on the 9. The wick went through the 20, went through the 200, and is almost to the 50. That to me is a pillar. This to me is a token sign she is going to climb. You put in a deep foundation when you're going to build a tall skyscraper. That to me is a foundation. It just went through all these levels of dirt. It's going to pop back up. Watch it for the next 15 minutes. If it pops back up, this bad boy is going to go. That's my opinion. Oscillators, we have a downtrend showing right now, but of course we do. She just dropped. I'm expecting a pop back up. All of the rest have just even keeled. Everything has gone flat, waiting for something to happen, except our RSI has got an incline like it's thinking of climbing. Take a look at our 5-day, 15-minute. Hey, look at that. Look at that. This is a picture perfect one. EONR. I'm going to put this on my watch list because I can read this chart. This chart does what I expect it to do. So she is in a climb right now, folks. You may want to watch this one tomorrow. You may want to consider an entry now. And when I say an entry, I mean some of what you want. If this stock is going to climb for a few days, get some of what you want. If she takes a dip, you get more cheaper. Average down. Gets back to her climb, you've got more shares at a better price. Okie dokie. Let me come visit with you, folks. I need to give my voice a rest here. I'll pull that down. David, you've been up there all that time. I need a woman to back me up. You see, I may say hard things about women, but I know how good they are for me. They keep me in line. Sheer intellect, Professor. Oh, Wall Street Warlord. Wall Street Warlord and I used to spend a lot of time together a couple years ago, back when I first started making videos. Haven't got much more views now than I had back then. I was getting 5, 6, 7, 800 views per video. Now I'm getting 2, 3, 400 views per video. Though now I've got about 10,000 followers between Twitter and Google, YouTube. You would think I'd have more people watching, but that's okay. I've been doing it for 2 years because I like doing it. I just like sharing information with you folks. If it actually does make me money someday, great. But I've been making money off of stocks, not off of YouTube. Mark Ryan, don't forget that like button. You're bloody well right. And we've got another button down there. It's called a tip jar. It's the shout out button. If I ever give you a tip and it really makes you money, if you just think I'm working hard and I deserve something, I am not too proud to take your money, folks. I used to be a waiter, and I know what it is to work for tips. There's nothing wrong with working for tips. I went to Scotland. They don't believe in tips. I tried to tip people, and they got upset. What the heck's the matter with them? Okie dokie. Hello, Dr. K. How you doing? Great review on Humble. Well, thank you very much. I try my best. I don't cover it all, but I do try to be sincere and honest. What's up, everybody? All right. I think I've got one more stock, don't I? Let's see here. Yes, we do. Tilray. How come you can't see that? Okay. No, not that one again. I keep hitting the wrong buttons because I'm focused on what I used to do instead of what I'm doing. All right, Tilray. There we go. Okay, Tilray. Tilray, I didn't take a whole lot of notes on. I know a lot about Tilray because I was around when Tilray was born. I remember when Tilray was way up there. What was it, $80 or over $100? That was back when she was a field. That was back before they had dispensaries, before they had joints, before they had anything. Now Tilray is the number one largest cannabis company in the world by footprint. Only bigger by Curaleaf. Curaleaf is bigger than them by market cap. They make more money than Tilray, but not much. Tilray makes a ton of money. They're just about $1 billion a year right now. Tilray isn't just cannabis, though. A couple years ago, they diversified into spirits, into craft beers, into beverages, and they are also involved in hemp foods. So they've got a lot going on. And the neat thing about a company like this is when the market gets bad, when the economy goes south, this company's going to be doing well. This is a sin stock. Stocks that support vices are alcohol, entertainment, gambling, cannabis, booze, all of these things. When life gets hard and bad, we lean on those things. So these companies actually thrive in bad times, and they can thrive in good times too. So they're not bad companies to consider, especially when they're covering multiple sectors. So let's get some information about this company. Whoa, let's start over here. Let's just look at the relative volume. What the heck? We're down like 60%, dropped from 46 million shares down to 18 million shares today. Now, since it's on my mind, I did notice ACB, Aurora Cannabis, had a big run today. She had a solid green run without one red bar for a long time. I don't know what was going up with her, but she was hot. Share structure for Tilray. What? God, what do they got? A share for every dollar they make? 937 million shares. We got basically 1 billion shares. I'm sure the insiders own something. I don't know how much, but I'm betting we got a real high float. Market cap for the company, we're currently at about $600,000. 600 million. My bad. 600 million. I knew something wasn't right there. Financials. Let's get impressed. All right. Over the last 4 years, they have been growing. They had a stifle period here through the COVID. We went from, let's call it $500 million to $750 million. That just makes it easy. And they were doing about $125,000 back in 2021. And last year they did $250 million worth of profit in cannabis and booze. That's basically what it's all about. Looking at the quarterlies, they're doing roughly $200 million every 3 months. Basically making $60 million, $20 million every month in profit, selling cannabis and booze. I'm not surprised. No, I'm not surprised at all. Why do you think so many people wanted to sell marijuana back when it was illegal? Because it was a good money maker. Heck yeah, because there's a lot of people who use it. It's funny now, when I go to the dispensary, it is one of the most popular stores in the city. It is, I mean, I'm not kidding you. It's got a line coming out of it like a movie theater. And you should see the people. They're everyday common people, old people, young people, freaky looking people, everyday average looking people, geeks and nerds. I'm telling you, folks, we have always had a liking for cannabis. It's amazing how many of us didn't go to prison. Wow. Taking a look at our balance sheets. We got about 200 million in the bank. Whoa. Look at that. $4.1 billion in assets. Yay. Yay, yay, yay. $750 million in liabilities. That gives us $3.5 billion in stockholder equity. My mind is blown. As penny stock people, we don't see this. Now, I want to point this out, folks. Look at that price. Look at that price, and we have got $3.5 billion. Now, the problem is they've got a lot of bloody shares. And these companies, these cannabis companies, they can't afford to do a reverse stock split. They can't, because they still have a lot of situations they're dealing with cannabis around the world. It is not a clean sector yet. So we see more shares always being added. Nobody's really done a reverse stock split in the cannabis sector. That's the one sector I didn't get my butt beat in when it came to reverse stock splits. So I see value. As I said, I can't remember what the high was. We'll look when we look at the chart. But this company was way up there. Multiple tens. Could have been $80, $100, and we're at 64 cents. And now they've got, I think it's 100 dispensaries. As a matter of fact, let's take a look here. Where's my page? This is the company's website, if it comes up. They deal with medical cannabis in lots of different countries. They own Afria, which was a huge cannabis company. They bought it. They own CC Pharma and Symbios. They also deal with what they call adult use cannabis. Let's just call it what it is, recreational. And they've got lots of subsidiaries. They've got lots of subsidiaries when it comes to this. They also deal with craft beer and spirits. They bought 8 subsidiaries from Anheuser-Busch, all craft breweries. They bought one. The first one, I think, was from Sweetwater Brewery. They bought a few more. They got a bunch of those. I do believe they are the 5th largest craft brewery in America. I think they're the 2nd largest brewery in the West Coast of America, this Canadian company. They also deal with THC beverages, CBD beverages, hard liquor, and regular soda pop, soft beverages. They deal with all of that, and they've got hemp foods as well. So the company has got a lot of different things they're dealing with in a lot of different countries, including America. And when America's laws change, they're going to change for cannabis too. They're going to get benefits as well. So they do have catalysts when we change our laws. And the last thing we can talk about is the news. They don't bring any news up over there, the OTC markets. So I'm over here at Stock Titan, which is my favorite place to do my due diligence now for news. They also have, don't mind the baby in the back. That's my great nephew. That's my nephew's son, and he's visiting. Not me, but he's visiting. He's not happy with this stock because he can't do cannabis yet. They have a momentum scanner over here. This is absolutely free, folks. They do have a paid-for version, but I use the free version all the time. I do have a paid-for version, but I use the free version without remembering to sign in, and it is great. You get everything. So the news, they do have news. They had news come out today, and almost all the news that I have seen over the last months have been about the beer. Beer. They keep having these parties, these places that they have beer being added to this event. And that's what they're doing here. Sweetwater Brewing Company and Georgia Aquarium celebrate 3rd year of partnership with a limited edition aquarium-themed can art for the OG IPA. Manitoba Harvest collaborates with Whole Foods Market for nationwide launch of Super Seed snack clusters. We have not seen a lot of hemp foods. Now, hemp foods aren't a big deal here in America because the FDA keeps slapping them down. But in other places in the world, hemp foods are starting to move. Hemp is a very high protein food. Did you know if you were trapped on an island and had nothing but cannabis and fresh water, you would not only survive, you would thrive. Cannabis has protein, has all the essential vitamins, the amino acids that we need, all of them. I'm not saying you'd enjoy eating it, but you'd probably find a way to cook it. You can live on it. Cannabis also can be used to make plastics that are biodegradable, and you can set time limits on the degrading. You can make jeans out of them. Levi uses hemp in their jeans. Hemp is the only plant that removes radiation from the ground. Chernobyl is surrounded with cannabis. Go look at Google Maps. You can see all the hemp growing around Chernobyl right now. Cannabis is a miracle plant, folks. It does so much for us. And the last piece of news we're looking at here, Tilray grows its non-alcoholic craft beer line, Runner's High Brewing across the East Coast and the Midwest. So they've already got the West Coast conquered. Now they're going for the center and they're going for the East Coast. Folks, they could do it. Anheuser-Busch is not an American beer anymore. You do know that, right? Budweiser left years ago and went overseas. That's why their stock is not on the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. The Budweiser Anheuser-Busch ticker is now on the OTC. It's on the QX because foreign companies that do not have corporate offices in America are not allowed to be on the major exchange. Just like cannabis companies in America that touch the plant are not allowed on the major exchange. It's not that they don't want to go there, they can't. So all of our American cannabis companies are at the top tier on the OTC, the QX. They are giving us all the financials. They're doing everything they can, and they've hit a glass ceiling. They can't go any further until laws change. But if you're a foreign company like Tilray, who touches the plant, you can go on the major exchange in America. Just doesn't seem fair, does it? That's exactly how I feel. It isn't right, man. Okay, let's go take a look at the chart for Tilray. No, don't hit that button again. Bloody hell. All right, I want to see what the high is. Now, considering that they haven't done a reverse stock split, this shouldn't be too hard to figure out. I'm going to go back 5 years. That should cover it. Bingo. Well, it doesn't. I could go back further. First off, we got a high here 5 years ago of $67. No reverse stock splits. That's not kicked up. Now, of course, you can see that was a run. She was down here jumping. She came out of a 200 squeeze, folks, right there. That was a 200 squeeze. She was at, let's call that, God bless it, we're $6. That was 1,000% gain, actually 1,100%, went to $67. But look at my 200. My 200 MA is coming down hard. This 200 squeeze could not happen until the MA's caught up. So the price is way up here, somewhere over there. I got to open up a special window to go that far back. I just can't jump on here and go that far back. That's one of the limitations of TOS. But you get my drift. She has been at a much higher price when she had a lot less. Come on down to our 1 day, 1 year chart. 1 year ago, this stock with a $3.5 billion equity for stockholders was running at just about $3. That was back in April. She came down and she's been bouncing, working downhill slowly because our 200-day MA is falling. She doesn't want to fall. She is trying to get as much up as she possibly can with a 200 that isn't cooperating. She started to fall here. She came underneath the 20 and everything is falling now. Everything is coming down on our yearly chart. But again, we have an immediate bounce off of a low bubble. The stock has value. So this I expect to start climbing, getting in position. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to rip from here on out, but it should start climbing. So what are we looking for? We're going to be looking for an atypical breakout, a 200 squeeze on our 4-hour chart. Our price is on the 50. Boom. There's our flat 200. Man, oh man, that is as flat as it can get. Tomorrow morning, it's going to turn up. It's going to turn up, folks. And there's our 200 up at 86 cents. We're at 64 cents. I don't see that as a problem at all. I think this is going to run tomorrow, folks. I think once this 200 haul turns up, she's already sitting on the 50. They have rolled the rocket down the road, put it on the launch pad. It's there. Now we're just waiting for someone to light the match, see that blue wick come into the picture here, and this is going to start to run where? Say it with me. To and through the 200. That's my best guess, and that guess is normally right. 8 out of 10 times, these 200 squeezes play out. Our volume has been falling. It's not very exciting right now looking at it from that perspective. Our PPO is flat. Our ADX, everything is falling right now. When I see an ADX with all the lines falling, it means a change is coming. Nobody has power yet. So everything is getting weak. We're waiting for the power change. That's what it looks like to me. Power change that way. Our MACD is falling, but our RSI is rising. See, we got a lot of mixed messages going on here. Take a look at that 1 hour chart. Bet it looks good. We are right at a breakout. So we had a 200 squeeze here, right? Our price got up on top of the 50. There's our 200 haul. Just turned blue. What happened? Easy peasy. Boom. She jumps onto the 9, to and through the 200. You getting tired of me saying this? Well, then do it. Do it, folks. This happens so often. That's why I repeat it, because we see it over and over again. And what happens after she breaks out? She's got to come back down in most cases and test the 200. That doesn't mean she's going to always be on top of it. She normally comes down to a strong MA, the 50, the 200 haul, or the 200, and then goes back to it. Right now, things are looking a little fishy. She should have jumped here. Right there, she should have jumped. She is climbing slowly, but look, our 20 MA is coming down. That's going to ruin everything. It looks like it's climbing. Our 50 is rolling. Our 200 is rolling. Our 20 has already had 2 death crosses over the 50, over the 200. I'm expecting this to take a dip. That doesn't mean it's going to fall, but it darn sure looks like it's going to dip. And where would it dip to? Well, let me see, right about there. Oh, that wasn't my line. That was my Fibonacci. Let me see. I'm expecting that dip to be somewhere around there. She could come back down to 64, which is not much. We're at 64.8. So a little itty bitty dip down to here, back up. However, watch that 20. She could fight the 20 here. She could actually break it, but with 2 death crosses, I'd be watching for a dip. Yeah, I'm looking at that 200, just getting an extra glance on it. It is rolling down. That is a little scary there. Yeah. All right, I'm going to come down to the 5-day, 15-minute. There's hope here, folks. She deserves to be on your watch list. She is at that break point where she could go up or she could go down. I'm getting a lot of mixed signals here. All of this sideways action is accumulation. People are buying. Look, they're buying more than they're selling. There's a lot more green bars there because they anticipate something's going to happen here. More green than red. Looks like the investors anticipate a climb. I think it's going to climb too. That's about all we got over here. Let me see. Yeah, that's all we got. Oh, my God. Is it 5:30 already? Super! Boom. The wizard just punched you in the nose. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate your $3. You know, I have not taken any of that out. It's just accumulating over there. I like to see it. It's nice. It's like a piggy bank. You know, all these tips add up, and I appreciate it, folks. I appreciate your likes. I appreciate your follows. What I really want you to do, though, is tell me when you bank on one of my plays. I'm not going to make anything from it, but boy, I got to tell you, it does make me feel good when I hear you are making money. I'm trying to share as much information with you as I can about how I make my plays, what I'm looking for downturns, upturns, bounces, things like that. Hopefully it's helping you. I haven't got any more time to cover anything else, folks. My voice is just gone now. I just can't seem to get past an hour and a half. But by golly, I've enjoyed wearing myself out for you. Thanks a lot, folks. I will be back next week, Thursday, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I will have new stocks. I will have new information. I will have the same beard, though it may be a little longer. Though I may have to trim it. It doesn't seem to be fitting in. I ain't trimming it. I already cut 3 inches off and felt guilty doing it. Ain't doing it again. Thank you, folks. I really appreciate you being here. See you next week. I'm still here.